This is video of Debbie Collier inside a Family Dollar store in Georgia at around 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. She's purchasing a red tote, a blue tarp, a poncho, paper towels, and a torch lighter. After leaving the store, her daughter Amanda received a Venmo for over $2,000, which included a cryptic message. "They are not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door." Debbie was found the next day burnt and partially naked 15 minutes away from that convenience store, which was about an hour north of her home in Athens. What happened to Debbie Collier? And who is responsible? Today, we received much more information from the detectives investigating the case in Habersham County. Information that was previously unknown.
We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and partial.
Tonight, we have the latest in the investigation as we take you inside the Habersham County Sheriff's Office to hear from the detectives trying to solve this mysterious and tragic murder case. I'm Vinnie Politan. This is Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we talk a lot about the words murder mystery, right? Murder mystery. A lot of the trials we cover, detectives will talk about solving a murder mystery. You'll have defense attorneys saying this is still a murder mystery as to who killed who. This case right here, this is a real murder mystery. There are a lot of clues, there's a lot of evidence, and it seems like it's something that should be able to be put together, except for the fact that you look at all these things, and as the detectives described today, every time they're on something, a curveball, meaning like this evidence is there, but like one piece is over here, another piece is over here, and you got a piece over here. You can't put it all together. Doesn't seem to make common sense in so many of the cases. Even the murder mysteries we cover here on Court TV, you know, once the evidence starts trickling down, you can put it together pretty quickly, right? Yeah, it's a murder mystery. No one's been charged, no one's been convicted, but hey, I think we know who did it. That's not the case here. The case of Debbie Collier involves a lot of unusual circumstances. Everything from where she was, why she was there, what she was buying, why she was buying it, the crazy Venmo message, what does that mean? The amount on the Venmo, where is everybody else at this time? And why on earth did she end up where she ended up? I guess nowhere near her house. Why was she there? What was she doing? And obviously the final question is, who was responsible and what exactly did they do to Debbie Collier? Because we've only gotten a partial description so far of what it was like at the scene, and we don't have cause of death, manner of death. They believe is homicide. They're saying it's a murder investigation. But we don't have the cause of death. We don't even know how she died. There's a lot of questions. We now, in this case, by the way, have gone way beyond the first 48 hours. And those of you who follow these cases know how important those first 48 hours of every homicide investigation are. And we're way beyond that. And what we learned today from the detectives is we're not close to the finish line. You know, they were saying we're 19 days out. We got a lot to go, And they're waiting for a lot of information to come back. And that information may lead them in a certain direction. But the feeling I got today is that, no, we're not going to have someone arrested tomorrow. I mean, this is going to remain a mystery. Now, the Sheriff's Office did reveal a lot today, though, things that we did not know before. And what that tells me is that they're looking for perhaps a little help from the public here. You know, and we heard it, that, you know, sometimes when they're focusing in on someone and they're just trying to put the pieces together, they don't speak a lot. But when it's really an open investigation, they're trying to figure things out and they could use a little help. Maybe someone else saw something, maybe someone has a video. Then you, as the investigators, you are more public about it. And that's what's happening in Habersham County in Georgia. And today, they revealed some things that we did not know before. Take a listen.
Results of the autopsy are still pending. The results regarding the analysis of the items we've submitted to the crime lab are still pending. We are now just beginning to get responses to the search warrants and the subpoenas in the case to date. We can tell you that we have received additional footage from a security camera from a business near the Family Dollar store. That additional footage shows us that Deborah Collier walked out of the Family Dollar store at 3:09, got into her van, and remained in her van in the parking lot for 10 minutes before leaving the parking lot and heading south on Georgia 15, Highway 441, US 23. This tells us that the time frame is actually narrowed a little further for this case to begin at 3:19 p.m. on Saturday, September 10th, and ending at 12:44 Sunday, September 11th, the time of the discovery.
We're still waiting more information that we have requested to confirm or deny where the Venmo was sent from, but we can confirm that Amanda did receive the Venmo. She did receive money. That much we do know right now. Continuing on, our next question was, are you in possession of Collier's cell phone and where was it found? Yes, we are in possession of that cell phone. We do have it in evidence and it was located at the crime scene. Right now, we have not ruled anyone out at this point. We have ever developing leads and are gradually having information that we have requested come in. So we're still in the process of trying to find persons or person of interest. And as that information starts to trickle in, it will actually help us develop more information for y'all to have. There was a question about what search warrants have been executed. As far as the search warrants that we have done, again, we cannot give that information out just for the simple fact that it may jeopardize and give the information out to possible potential persons of interest. And we don't want to basically show our hand before we have facts.
There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal.
Michael Ruiz from Fox News Digital. I'm just curious if Debbie's purse was recovered at the scene.
Yes, it was. We do have that in evidence and it was recovered from the crime scene.
Is that another purse than the one that was said to be left at her home?
That we're not aware of. We're still working on that, but we do know for a fact the video that was released of her being in the Family Dollar, that purse was found at the crime scene and is in evidence. We do have in our possession, this is an actual photograph from the Tallulah Falls school cameras. She was seen traveling northbound on Georgia 15, just north of our crime scene there, which is just south of Victory Home Lane. This is a picture of her traveling northbound on Georgia 15, traveling through these cameras at 2:17 p.m. on Saturday but the last time she spoke to her mom was on the phone. As far as Steve working, we have pulled video from Synovus Bank where he stated that he was working that day because of being a UGA game. He works for a private company called the Optimist Club that private contracts Synovus Bank's parking lot to park vehicles for the game day. They use that parking lot to provide parking for people coming to the game. We have confirmed that he was there from, I'm making sure I get the times right.
9 to 4:06.
From 9 to 4:06.
A lot of stuff revealed today by the sheriff. Let's go through some of it. Let's bring in our special guest joining me in Clarksville, Georgia, reporter and publisher for NowHabersham.com. Please go on there, check out all the coverage. Joy Purcell is back with us, and a New York City senior reporter for the U.S. Sun, Luke Kenton, back with us tonight as well. Okay, big day today. Joy, I'm going to start with you, Habersham County. I'm impressed by investigators there. I'm impressed by the sheriff's office. It seems we got a little bit more information about the timeline on where Debbie was that day.
Well, that's right. They did narrow it by about 10 minutes, Vinnie. And so now we're talking about a 22-hour gap from when she is last known to have been alive to when her body was discovered at 12:44 p.m. on Sunday, September 11th. That's still a lot of unanswered time as to what transpired, but we do know that the items that she purchased at that dollar or that Family Dollar store in Clayton, which is about 12 miles north of where her body was found, those items were located at the crime scene. And I had occasion to visit the crime scene today, what's left of it and what remains. And there are still signs of paper towels that are visibly charred. The charred tree that investigators spoke of earlier in the week is still there, and you can see the ravine that they talked about, her falling down. One element of this case, of course, is how did she die? What killed her? She was on fire. There was charring in her abdomen, and it was revealed earlier this week that when she was found, her body, she was grasping a tree in her right hand, which I asked about this during the press conference today, and they did acknowledge that could indicate that perhaps she had survived the burning incident, however that occurred, and that she may have gotten up to try to walk away to the scene. There was actually a creek at the base of the ravine where her body was found, so perhaps she was headed to the water. We don't know, but there is a possibility that she did survive the initial fire.
Luke, something we were talking about last night was the purse, because of the different reports about the purse, and it seems it was clarified today that the purse she had on in that surveillance video was found at the scene as well.
Yeah, that's right. That did clear up a lot of conspiracy that's been surrounding that handbag. A lot of that confusion stemmed from Stephen, her husband's 911 call. He initially told the operator that her bag was found upstairs, and then later re-clarified later on that it was a credit card and her ID card. On the subject of the credit card and the ID card, I think that still is a subject of interest, though her purse was found at the crime scene. Is that still the same credit card found at her home that she used to purchase those goods at the dollar store? And if so, how did it make it back to her house? Bearing in mind she was a good 60, 70 miles away from her home when she was last seen.
Now, one of the big reveals today involved what happened to Debbie after she left the Family Dollar store, and it's a 10-minute time period where it seems she stays in the parking lot. They revealed or released some surveillance video from that parking lot, and that is extremely significant, this video, because, Joy, it's in this time frame that the Venmo is sent, in that 10-minute time frame, because we got timestamps for all this stuff.
You're right. At 3:17, that Venmo was received by her daughter, Amanda Bearden. And as the earlier video pointed out, and as they stated at the press conference today, they know that Amanda received that Venmo payment, and obviously the chilling message that accompanied it, but they do not know yet if it was actually Debbie who sent it, if it actually came from her phone. They are still trying to figure that out. They have subpoenaed phone records and other information, and they're waiting on that information to come in so that they can determine exactly, hopefully who, and at least what phone that payment came through.
This is such an important time period, Luke, because the Venmo transfer is at that time, and it seems like she pulls out and then stops. The other thing I noticed about her truck, which is, I think, a 2022, look at all that tint. I mean, there's a lot of tint there. If there's someone in the back, and I don't know if there is, but I'm saying if there's someone in the back, no one's going to see that person, I don't think, not with that level of tinting.
Absolutely, and that's a credible kind of thing to look into, I think, for police. In the surveillance footage inside the dollar store, Debbie doesn't seem to be in any sort of state of distress or under any sort of duress. But as she leaves the store, she sends that incredibly strange message, and within 2 minutes after sending that Venmo, her phone is switched off, and that's the last we know about her whereabouts. So was somebody waiting in the back of her car or something of that sort? We don't know yet.
Now, the other thing, Joy, was this footage from Tallulah Falls, the school cameras they were referring to it as. At 2:17, her vehicle is seen on the roadway. For those of us who haven't been there, it looks like there's several cars on this road. If it's 2:17, how far is she from the dollar store at 2:17? And so how much time period are we talking about here that is sort of unaccounted for?
Well, we know that she entered the dollar store at 2:55 p.m., according to the surveillance footage. So from the time that school zone camera captured her van going north on US 441, it was 2:55 to the point that she reached, or at least entered, the store. Now, she would have reached her destination sooner than that because it's about a 12-mile drive. The school zone cameras are actually just about 2 miles north of where her body was found. And this is one of those mysteries, if you will. They captured her van going north, but so far in the review of the school zone camera footage, they have not found the van coming back south, which she would have had to do in some manner in order to end up where she did.
And for those of us not familiar with these cameras, is it continuous recording, or does something have to come into view and it triggers the camera? Do we know how they work?
Well, Vinnie, this is a very active highway. I mean, this is the major thoroughfare from northern Georgia into the western Carolinas. It's a heavily trafficked route. So those school zone cameras, to my knowledge, are running continuously. And they were talking about just such a high volume of traffic that has made the search for the southbound return difficult. But there would be a limited time frame in which she would have made that return. So they just haven't been able to, based on what they told us today at the press conference, they haven't been able to wade through all of that footage. They're still trying to determine if there is evidence of her returning southbound along that same highway.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Saturday, it's game day, and everyone coming south will be coming towards Athens, towards the Bulldog game, which it seems like she was dressed for. All right, Luke Kenton, Joy Purcell staying with us. We appreciate it. We're going to talk more about what was revealed at today's press conference, plus coming up next hour. In Memphis, Tennessee, new details revealed about the brutal murder of billionaire heiress and kindergarten teacher Liza Fletcher, who was abducted while going for an early morning run.
The outcome of this investigation is not what we hoped for. We are nonetheless pleased to remove this dangerous predator off the streets of Memphis.
We got active shooter.
I was shot in the face. People everywhere, bodies everywhere, chaos everywhere.
This is just a kid. How did he get here?
Were there moments where you second-guessed yourself?
No. There's no one way to say this person is or this person isn't going to become a mass shooter.
Court TV presents Rampage Killers. Premieres Sunday, 9/8 Central. Only on Court TV.
There is no information or evidence to this point that shows that this was something random, that there was something that was not from somebody that she either knew or somebody who she had some association with. That's what we're seeing at this time. So based on that information, we do not believe that this is a random act of violence. We do not believe that this is the act of a serial killer. We believe that this act was deliberate and personal.
That perhaps was one of the most important reveals today by the sheriff in Habersham County, talking about the murder of Debbie Collier, the mom, the wife, who on a Saturday was at a convenience store, at a dollar store, and then she's found dead in the woods, partially naked, burnt. Trying to figure out what's going on here. The lead investigator spoke a lot today. Let's listen to more as we get more details about the death and the murder of Debbie Collier.
The tip that Amanda Bearden was at the Family Dollar, did that come from her? Did it come from somewhere else? And what is the significance of her not being at that location that Saturday?
I'll try to answer that as best as well. So the tip as far as her being at the Family Dollar came from an initial interview to where she was talking about her and her mother going to Family Dollar to buy cleaning supplies to help clean up her apartment when she got back to Georgia. As far as anything, as far as the Family Dollar visit, I don't think that actually came from her, right?
No, it come from a.
Yeah, come on up. This is Investigator Garrison. He's also one of my team leads.
So I pulled the video footage from the store and talked with everybody from the store. Based off of that, with Miss Collier, she was there for that time period from 2:54 till 3:10. Got in her car at 3:10 till 3:20. It was asked that if Amanda was in there earlier, and Amanda, based off of our knowledge at this time, there was some confusion there, and the associate that worked there actually saw the mother and not the daughter. I was able to provide photos to that store clerk to confirm that based off of what we were told, and she said, no, I remember seeing the mother, not the daughter.
All right, that seemed even more confusing. Let's bring in our guest. Still with me, reporter, publisher for NowHabersham.com. They're covering this like no one else. Make sure you check them out online. Joy Purcell's with us. And also senior reporter for the U.S. Sun, also on top of the story, Luke Kenton. And joining us now in San Antonio, Texas, forensic psychologist John Delatorre. Thanks, John, for joining us tonight. Let me ask you, Luke, I'm very confused here. It seems like the daughter, Amanda, was talking about the dollar store. Somebody else said they saw her at the dollar store. She was or wasn't there.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of confused by that back and forth at the press conference this morning. It seems that it may have just been a case of mistaken identity, but if Amanda had knowledge of her mother being at the dollar store, she said she spoke to her on the phone last. Perhaps she mentioned it in that final conversation that she had with her. We also know that Amanda told law enforcement when her mum was still missing that she had access to her iCloud account. She may have her mum's location on her iPhone under the Find My Friends feature, something along those lines. But it certainly was a very, very confusing exchange, and already what is a very confusing case.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, after Debbie Collier reported missing her daughter Amanda Bearden, calls law enforcement at least twice, asking to speak to investigators. She sounds quite distraught as she asks if the GPS in the rental car can be tracked or if Debbie's iCloud information could be tracked. Let's listen now to some of what she tells the operator in a 911 call obtained by FoxNews.com.
You just need him to call you back?
Yes, ma'am. I thought about it, and I have her iCloud information. I know that and correct me if I'm wrong, but if the phone is turned off, it would still track her. But I do have her. I've got her Apple ID and what I thought was her password, but the password isn't working. I don't know if y'all have technology or whatever, but I do have. I don't know.
All right, John Delatorre, it's hard for any of us to put ourselves in the shoes of family members when a loved one is missing, and then when a loved one is murdered, right? Two horrible situations. In that call, she's missing. Your thoughts about what we should take from people's behavior in stressful situations like that, when mom is missing, when someone that we love could be in danger, and we're speaking out loud, we're calling 911, we're talking to investigators.
We need to be very careful with how we judge people's behaviors under stressful situations. We don't know these people at all. They're strangers to us. So we don't know how any of them respond to stressful situations. They've never been involved in a situation where their mother has gone missing. None of that has happened to any of these individuals. So they're not quite clear on what they need to do. perhaps they have all of this stuff and they can give it to the police. That they don't know. So there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of just subduedness because everything is about solving this mystery. We're trying to find their mother, and they don't know how to feel or how to think.
Yeah, I mean, when I listen to that call, I hear someone who sounds like, hey, listen, I don't know what to do, but I've got this information. I'll give it to 911. Now, let's listen to more of the lead investigator, because we learned something today, Joy, that I didn't know either. And I think this could be a huge fact in all of this and understanding the family dynamics. Let's take a listen.
You mentioned a minute ago that Amanda had just moved back to Georgia. Where was she and when did she move back?
So this is what we can confirm. She lived in Maryland with her brother. She lived in, I think, the same apartment complex, correct? With her brother up in Maryland. City, I can't tell you what the city is because I don't have my notes and stuff in front of me, but I do know it's Maryland. She moved down here on the 8th, which would have been Thursday, September 8th, when she moved down here to Georgia. So we know that she was down here at some point on Thursday.
So, Joy, I was kind of shocked by that. I thought she'd been living here all along, but apparently just got back into the area on Thursday. Mom goes missing on Saturday. And I'm thinking back to the old key in the flower pot. All of a sudden, that might make some sense for someone that hasn't been living here, might not have a key to the house. What do we know about where she's living, who she's living with, et cetera?
Well, I can't speak to that, Vinny. We've really not been able to cover the Athens portion of this. We've been focused on what's happening here in Habersham County, and primarily because, again, as I mentioned to you previously, we're a small rural county in Northeast Georgia. Things like this don't happen a lot, and this has really shaken our community. A lot of people are fearful, and even with the assurances that we got today from our local investigators and the chief deputy of the Habersham County Sheriff's Office, people are still stunned by this, and they're desperately seeking some type of assurance in the form of an arrest to feel more comfortable about their surroundings. Women are telling me that they're more cautious about going out at night. So I can't speak directly to where Amanda Bearden is at the moment, but I do know where our community is at the moment, and right now we're a community on edge.
Understandable, and they did say not a serial killer, not random, but, until you arrest someone, that question really hasn't been answered definitively. Luke, your thoughts about Amanda Bearden, where she is, what her status is, and et cetera.
I think I'm right in saying that Amanda has been living at a property that was owned by her stepfather, Stephen Collier, who's Debbie's husband. And I believe she was also living with her, what's been described as at least an on and off again boyfriend by the name of Andrew Geigerich. The couple have a history of domestic violence disputes. They've had a few run-ins with police. There was a recent incident in May 2021, I believe. And what we do know is that the property that Amanda was living at or is living at, the police served a search warrant there on September the 14th, I believe. We don't know what the purpose of that search warrant was. We don't know what they found. But speaking to local media, Andrew said that the police had seized their phones, both of their phones, and also had been questioning them as suspects. He also said that they're scared for their own safety as well, speaking to kind of the wider fear in the community.
Great information tonight, great perspective. Thank you so much. Joy Purcell, Luke Kenton, and John Delatorre. I hope you'll come back again. Once again, thank you so much for your time on this Friday night. When we come back, we're going to bring in our investigators and talk about what we know and what we don't know. Don't go anywhere.
In the report that you all released last week, you stated that Ms. Collier's body was found down a ravine and she was grasping a small tree in her hand. What does that indicate?
I mean, that's a lot of different indications.
Yeah.
I mean, him kind of talk about that.
At this point, we're not sure what it indicates.
Could she have been alive?
Very possible that she could have been alive at the time she went down the ravine. But again, the autopsy will help us to narrow down time of death, help us to narrow down toxicology reports, help us to narrow down other things related to the body itself that we don't know at this time.
So would that indicate, if she were alive, that she survived being burned?
Very possible. Again, very preliminary in nature.
Okay, I want to take some time to go through what we know, and then we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about what we don't know in this case. Let's begin with what we know about September 10th, 2022. 217, Debbie Collier's vehicle is seen traveling northbound on Georgia 15. This is just north of the crime scene. 255, Debbie is seen entering the Family Dollar in Clayton. 309, she's seen checking out at Family Dollar and leaving the store. 309, she's in her car in the parking lot for about 10 minutes. During that time, at 317, a Venmo transaction with a cryptic message is sent to Debbie's daughter, Amanda Bearden. 319, her vehicle leaves the Family Dollar, heads south on Highway 15. Let's bring in our investigators. Joining me in Salt Lake City, Utah, private investigator Jason Jensen. In Oceanside, New York, Professor Emeritus of Forensic Science at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, Dr. Lawrence Kobylinski is with us. And in Salt Lake City, Utah, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil podcast, Mike King. Great to see everyone. All right, Jason Jensen, of what we know about September 10th, what is most significant to you about what we do know?
Well, gosh, that latest bombshell that we heard today, that she sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes. It's like you're looking to see from that video if somebody approaches her in the car or if there's any kind of sign of a struggle. There's really nothing there. So is she in the car alone, or is somebody in the back seat of that car hidden out of view?
Dr. Kobylinski, of what we do know about this case, what do you find significant? What do you find intriguing?
Well, I think we're missing a lot, although we have our hands on the timeline, more or less. We need to know the time of death, but what we really need to have is the autopsy report, and of course we need the crime lab report, because although this is a mystery wrapped in a conundrum, once the lab goes through the various items found at the crime scene, they may have a quick answer as to who did this. I say who, assuming it's a single individual, there may be more. But I like the idea that there might have been somebody in the back seat of that car, and she wasn't aware of it until it was too late, and then sent that Venmo message and money to her daughter. There's a lot we don't know, but like I said, it's possible that once the analysis is completed, we might have some answers here.
Mike King, Dr. K, he loves to get more and more information. I think the answer is somewhere in those papers behind him tonight. But Mike, your thoughts about some of the things that were revealed today at the press conference and what we do actually know about Debbie's day on September 10th.
The thing that jumped out at me immediately, Vinnie, was my terminology would always be to talk about this as a death investigation. Boy, they blew right past that and went right to homicide. And that was really big to me. It tells me they've got a whole lot more than they're sharing. I thought there was quite a bit of transparency today, and at times I was thinking, oh man, you're going too far. But the thing I kept thinking about is from that 217 mark to 255, the distance is too short. She didn't drive for that long. She made a stop somewhere probably. She either went shopping somewhere else, she visited a friend. So I think the forensics off of the vehicle, I think the forensics off of her phone are going to tell us a whole bunch. And hopefully law enforcement has interviewed whoever that mystery person is in between. Because, she passed, by my accounts, when I mapped all this out last night, she passed 9 dollar stores between her home and the store that she went to. That is unbelievable to me if she's just heading to a dollar store. There's some other reason she was up there, and that took her by a place where she could take care of another piece of business.
All right, I want to take a look at what we do know about the crime scene, or it could be the death scene. Well, it's a crime to leave a body there, so it's a crime scene, period. Take a look. On September 11th, Debbie's rental cars located in the area of Georgia 15 and Victory Home Lane in Clarksville, Georgia. Search of the scene resulted in locating the red tote bag, partially burnt blue tarp, Debbie's partially nude burnt body, Debbie's cell phone and purse were located at that scene. Dr. K, I'll let you jump into this one first. About what we do know, what was found at that scene has been revealed. What is significant to you?
Well, what it tells me is that there may very well be DNA on one or all of these items. Cell phones, for example, if the perpetrator touched the cell phone, that person could have left his DNA behind. There may be fingerprints, but often fingerprints are smudged and not useful. But DNA and trace evidence could be found on these various items. I also understand there was a live round cartridge that was found at the scene. DNA can be taken off of a cartridge. So there may be a lot of information that we just don't know yet until the lab is finished with their work. And I think the vehicle is something, another area of investigation that could be very informative. If it turns out that there was somebody else in that vehicle, it probably was, and therefore that person may have left his DNA behind, and that could reveal his identity.
All right, we've went through what we do know. When we come back, what we still don't know in the case, plus coming up next hour. And on the docket tonight in Fremont County, Idaho, one of the attorneys involved in the Doomsday Couple murder case does want the world to see the trial and doesn't want cameras shut out of the courtroom. But will the prosecutor continue to object and demand that no one outside of the courtroom gets to see our government at work?
I think we as a public have the right to be involved in that court every day.
A senseless tragedy in small-town America.
This was a pre-planned execution.
It was a feud between families that ended with multiple murders.
You came in like thieves in the night and took 8 lives.
George Wagner faces murder charges in connection with the killing.
Wagner's brother and parents also charged.
It's very much a family affair. All for one, one for all.
It's a chilling story. It will be an intense trial.
The Ohio Family Massacre Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings on Court TV.
At Golo.com.
Again, I want to reiterate to everyone that this is a very complex investigation. It has a lot of unanswered questions. It also has a lot of issues that you don't see in a typical death investigation. For that reason, it is going to take a significant amount of time, well beyond what we've had in the past 19 days, to solve this crime.
That's putting it mildly. This case is complicated and strange. So I've got my investigators with us. What I want to do now is go over what we don't know about this case. Let's put a list up on the screen. Why was Debbie at a Family Dollar nearly 70 miles from her home? Where was her daughter Amanda Bearden the morning and afternoon of Saturday, September 10th? Who is they in that Venmo message? And what does the Venmo message really mean? Did Debbie send the Venmo transfer and message herself? We don't know that. How did Debbie Collier die? What is the cause of death here? Jason Jensen, Lawrence Kobylinski, Dr. Lawrence Kobylinski, Mike King, all with us. Jason Jensen, which question do you want answered that's gonna make things a lot clearer tonight?
Well, for me, it was always, how did she die? I mean, it seems so bizarre that she's partially nude out in the right off of a major thoroughfare, and she's got some burn scoring on her stomach. Well, how does that all compute?
Mike King, which question do you want answered?
I really like Jason's comment, and I think everybody wants to know what that darn autopsy report's going to come back like. It's going to tell us whether she inhaled an accelerant and a high temperatures. It's going to tell us whether she was deceased before she even ended up in that location. So we're going to figure out whether she was transported and that was a disposal site, or if it actually was a crime scene. But I'm really intrigued by her previous behaviors and kind of what she's done on other game days or when she's gone out in the woods with family to picnic or anything else. I just can't get over the fact that she's purchased some items that I think are pretty explainable. That tarp, if the weather's changing, and we certainly saw it raining the day after when her body's recovered. She bought a poncho for some reason, and was it because she was anticipating rain? Cell coverage is really good there, Vinnie. From everything I can tell, we ought to be able to see where she was tracking before and during that event. And frankly, if what I heard earlier is you were reporting that the daughter said there's an iCloud account, we might even have some things like fall detections coming in. And that could be really interesting to see, because if she's being forced down a trail, there could be a number of tumbles along the way. And that's where we're going to see so much on the body. As far as we talked with Joe Scott the other night about the bottom of the feet being important. I'm really hung up on all the other forensics around this thing, because I think they're going to make this really a clear picture when it's all said and done.
Dr. Kobylinski, of what we don't know now, what do you want to know? What do investigators need to know to kind of start to put this together?
Well, what I would like to know is why the police feel so strongly that this is not a random event. They seem to be pretty confident that this was a very personal and deliberate kind of murder, and that the perpetrator knew her. She may have not known him, but it just seems to me this could very well have been a random event. And I think the only way to approach this is through the forensics, because even if you know the timeline, the time of death and the cause of death and the manner of death, even if you know all of that, it's not going to be the solution. The solution is going to be identifying the perpetrator, and you do that through fingerprints or DNA. And there's certainly a lot of evidence in this case, physical evidence, that is, biological evidence perhaps. And you've got a vehicle, and you've got items that she purchased in the store that are found at the crime scene. A lot of these things could have DNA. And so I'm not saying DNA is the only thing here. It's a very crucial thing, because it could actually lead to the identity of the perpetrator. So I think that I agree with all the others on the panel that, looking at forensics is the way to go here. And I think maybe some facts will come forward, and then we can build a case.
Jason Jensen, I need to know why she's an hour plus north of where she lives. I live in Georgia. It's game day. It's an hour before kickoff. She's head to toe dressed in Georgia Bulldog stuff. I need to know why she was there. Did someone lure her there? Was she supposed to meet someone? Can we find it in a text message? I'm so confused about why she would drive an hour away from Athens dressed in Bulldog red on game day, Jason.
You're right. It makes no sense, Vinnie, because her husband was working the parking lot of the game. You would think that she was dressed to go there and, be support, waiting for him to be done, with his duties, and they'd go enjoy the game together. But instead, 70 miles away, Mike mentioned a number of different Family Dollar stores that she passed to get to that particular one, 70 miles away. It's, the cell data is really going to reveal where she went and perhaps identify who she met.
Yeah, and Mike, the investigators talked a lot about that data. They're waiting to get stuff back. And so I think that may be a absolute key to tracking where everyone is all day long. We have about 20 seconds, Mike. I'll give you the last word.
You spot on. I think that's going to help us paint the picture. But you know what? There are interviews. As soon as they identify who she was visiting before she went to the dollar store, why she's going there, what's normal behavior, and what's behavior outside the norm. This is a low-risk victim, and the only thing that would change it is the circumstance and environment she threw into.
Great job on this Friday night. Jason Jensen, Dr. Lawrence Kobalinsky, and Mike King, thank you so much. I'll see you all very, very